I think everybody, see, we already start off with laughs. It's a great thing. So I am super excited to be, it's 4 of us tonight. But I'm super excited to be on with my sisters. And we're talking about writing while grieving. So let me just give you kind of a little of the backstory as to why we're doing this. So first off, I know most people say, we haven't had Halloween yet, but we already got Christmas decorations in the stores. Y'all know I'm right, okay? So I don't really celebrate Halloween, but a lot of people do. So that's usually when the holiday season really kind of officially kicks off. But you got Christmas in July. Anytime you want to buy something, it'll be Christmas all starting in July all the way to the end of December 31st. And then after Christmas sales, and then but during the holiday season or any season, the anniversary of someone passing, that's always that's always a time where we start remembering loved ones and we start reminiscing. Big Mama's not in the seat she was in. Uncle Joe, that was his chair. He always liked to watch that TV. So we start with that time of year. And then as a writer and a publisher, I'm seeing more people who say, I want to write about my life. I also want to write a book that's dedicated to my loved one that has gone on to glory, or my mother had some writings. And so I wanted to bring on 3 people who have actually gone through that process, who've actually gone down through that journey. And so if you're thinking about it, if you ever have a family member, be sure and have them tune in, and the replay will be out there so you can kind of share the link with them a little bit later. And you can follow me on social media, Julia A. Royston. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, a little bit everywhere. But I really wanted to have that conversation, not just from my angle, but from other people who've actually gone through the process. Now, I first want them to introduce themselves, tell them, and I know we've been on many times before, but there may be somebody who's watching for the first time. And thank you so much. Where they're from, and then where they can find them on social media, or if you have a website, you can find that there. So we're going to start with Marquise because we usually start with Karen. But let's start with Marquise Watson. Tell us your name formally, where you're from, and then your website and social media.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. My name is Marquise Watson, as Julia mentioned, and I am the co-founder of the Alana Marie Project. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at the Alana Marie Project. And then also our website is www.thealanamarieproject.com. And we're based out of Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yay! Cassandra.
Hello, everyone. My name is Cassandra Lanier. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. You can find me on Facebook at Cass Lanier, and also at Cassandra Lanier 27 at Gmail.
Awesome. It's Karen Brown.
Hello, I am Minister Karen D. Brown, and I am on all social media platforms. On Facebook, I could be found at Karen Dixon, DICKSON -Brown. And I'm doing a bunch of different things with our nonprofit. So if you want to get in touch with me, reach me through Facebook or email kydbrown@yahoo.com.
Wonderful, wonderful. And of course, I'm Julia A. Royston, and you can always find me, all of my online stores and all of my websites at juliakroyston.com. That's juliakroyston.com. So I guess my very first question, and whoever wants to take it, you all have books that you've dedicated to your loved ones, and specifically for the 3 of you all, you've had books that you've dedicated to not only family members, but actually your children. And so I want one of you, and whoever is okay with starting, I really don't care, but I really want to know how you got up the courage to do it. The bravery to really do it, because as I've stated, even in the description, grieving has no has no expiration date. Grieving never stops. It may take different forms. Today it may be tears. Tomorrow it may be laughter. The next day it could be in the bed with the covers over your head. Another day you could be singing a song and twirling and dancing. So it has no expiration date. And believe you me, I've done all of those. So whoever wants to start.
Well, I'll go first. Go ahead, Karen.
No, you go ahead, Cass.
Go ahead,
Kat.
Karen.
No, Cassandra, go
Well,
ahead.
for me, okay. Well, for me, I didn't. I don't know where it came from, but it was like a healing process for me when I wrote my book. Um, I don't really know where I got the strength from. I just know that I wanted to be my daughter's voice, and I wanted to share her personality. I just wanted to share what I was going through, and from that, I got the strength to write it. How I did it, I really don't know. But the grace of God, I guess you could say, that gave me the strength to get through it. And I just wanted to share my story and hopefully help somebody else, and hope that somebody could see God in the midst of what I was going through, because
Yeah,
there was
because when
another
you
thing that also helped me.
right when I because when we connected, you said, "Oh, she passed away in May," and that was like 2018. When in 2018, right? Correct.
Yeah, 2018.
2018, and we were talking like what, August, September, and I said, "Oh, so
Yeah.
which May?" She said, "This one." I said, "2018 May." She said, "2018 May." So I was like,
Yes, because
"Wow." I mean, this is fresh. This is, so having that ability to want to help somebody else, even in that stage of grief, is incredible and takes a lot of strength as far as I'm concerned. I don't know whether I would have the strength to be able to do it or not. But when she told me the story, it was incredible. And I said, yes, it needs to get out there, even to help others. Okay. So anything else you want to add, Cassandra? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, you're fine. I think that's it. I just wanted to, like I said, I just wanted to share my story with hopes that it could help somebody else through their grieving process, so that they could maybe look at what they were going through and still be able to see God in the midst of their tragedy,
Hmm.
and know that He was there to help them through it.
Right. Yeah. Marquise or Karen? Either one.
For me, I feel like I knew I wanted to write Alana's story. I don't remember the exact time frame. It definitely was not as quick of a turnaround as far as from the loss to when I started writing. I feel like when I first started writing, I was kind of just writing a lot of the facts. Like it was just like me literally writing like on this date, this happened, on this date, this happened. It was like very factual because I just didn't want to forget any of the details. And then like when I would go back and read it, I was like, this doesn't feel right. Like this doesn't feel the way that I want to tell Alana's story. Like obviously I wanted to share some of the specific details, but it was like, it just didn't like, it wasn't doing anything for me the way that I was writing at that time. And it wasn't probably for maybe 1 or 2 years later that I finally like was really on my heart, like turn this into a devotional. Like, I think that would be a good way to incorporate her story. So that's when I really started writing, but it definitely was I call it a labor of love for me. Because it definitely was really tough to go back and kind of add the prayer and that different perspective to the situation instead of just sharing the story and the specific details by itself.
Right. Marquise's book, be sure and look her up. But Marquise Watson's book is a devotional. So, and you're right, it had been years. Now, it didn't take us years to do the book. It just had been a time before she started, before I even knew who she was, and she was referred by a mutual friend of ours. So, it had been some time. But when and hers is written in a devotional way of expressing her pain and through scripture and all of that. It's very well done, but it does include pictures of her daughter, her husband, and so it is a dedication and memorial to her daughter, etc. So, as well as Cassandra's book is dedicated to her daughter, but also, um, points out the benefits of being a donor, and now has a whole nother family. And we'll talk about that in a minute too as well. So, it just all depends on what ways you want it to do it. And there are vastly two different ways of presentation, but the passion, the love, the commemoration is all the same, no matter which way you deliver it and what format it's delivered in. It's still designed to help someone else. So, excellent, Karen.
Oh, we talk about this so much over the last couple of years, but my heart still started beating really fast. For me, I never thought I would have to do dedication pages, write books, and now, even with the children's release. Because for me, when I first met you, Julia, it was getting closure from my mother's murder and doing that story and, closing a chapter in her life for me to have peace and say, yes, I'm getting ready to turn 50. Life's going to be great. I'm so slowly healing from that. And then boom, for me and Cass, 2018 was a rough year, you know. So whenever we're sharing posts and everything, I feel like I'm her and she's me. And I think for me, I wanted to, my son was the one where I even had to speak at his service, his home celebration, because I kept hearing him in the back of my head saying, you speak for everybody else. You do everything for everybody else. I know you're going to get up and talk about me. So I can see him saying, you write about everybody else. So I know you're going to write something about me. So that's like, I was being pushed by him, and then honoring him. Even after the last year, I had to kind of pull back from doing things in his memory that brought extra hurt because I learned I didn't grieve. I was in just flight mode because Julie, I've been nonstop for the past 5 years to where I hit a plateau, like I can't breathe. And all I write about is breathing, but I can't breathe. So I had to shift my focus with a lot of things I was doing with him and focus more on the fun little Eddie, focus more on what he enjoyed, what he loved. I even got my nose pierced. So
I saw that post.
It's because I got to the point where I'm going to stop saying maybe tomorrow. So I'm in the second chapter of this thing called life because I'm older. So for me, the writing was, let me continue to write for healing. Let me continue to share his story for healing. And if one person gets a nugget out of one thing I shared, whether they knew him, know me, or whatever, the aha moment, I feel better. But I think for me, I kind of do it. I'm kind of selfish with why I do it, because this mother needs that hug every day.
Yeah. Well, I guess my biggest thing as a publisher and as somebody trying to work with someone, I find that number one, you need patience.
Yes.
You need to be patient with the person.
Yes.
I have 2 clients right now that excuse me, it's been some time, but I know I can't push them. I can only be there and ready for them. And as a business owner, that can be tough, and I'm like, I'm prayerful. I pray for them, but I can't rush them. I didn't rush. Couldn't rush Karen.
Julia, let me say this: when I was trying to finish breathing, I felt bad at the time period because I know Julia as the businesswoman, and then Julia would send me these beautiful messages. I know you're having a bad minute. It's okay. And I'm sitting here like, I know she wants the last of the draft.
Well, I mean, but I guess that's the reason why we're having this conversation.
Yes.
I'm like, help me.
But
help somebody else.
I'll say this with breathing. The beginning chapters was easy, but it took me forever to finish it because I knew what I had to talk about in the last chapter. So as I look at it now, it's not even half of the stuff I wanted to say or how I wanted to say it because the hurt was so fresh. And I want to tell anybody listening, your hurt is your hurt. It may be fresh a month or a year after. It may be fresh 10 years after. Don't rush your hurt, your feelings, your pain, and do not feel guilty if you can't complete something that you may have put on a calendar for an X amount of date. Do not feel guilty, and don't let nobody pressure you. If you're looking to publish, find Julia BK Royston Publishing, because the empathy is there and the love is there.
Right. I appreciate that. And and when somebody comes to me with a book such as that, I'm like, oh Lord, okay. So it's not just a journey for them, it's a journey for me. I'm going through that process with them too. So I'm available, but I know I can't push them past. And a lot of it, and it's not just the three of you all, and not just Elgina number 4, who basically had a book written and then one day rewrote the whole thing. And I was like, well, that's not the manuscript you sent me. Like, and so I didn't know how to, okay. So I had my empathy kicked in, the Holy Ghost kicked in too. Compassion kicked in, and I'm like, okay. They started all over from scratch. Now, God, I just like,
Can I
I
can
gotta
I
leave it in your hands.
can I kind of say something to what you and Karen just saying? Because if you remember, I had just finished my book and I lost my whole book.
Oh yeah.
And I was ready to give up because I had went through the crying and reliving everything, and I was getting ready to just say forget it. And a couple of friends of mine and my daughter encouraged me to just try it again, and it turned out totally different from what I had written the first time. And I was like, well, maybe what I was saying the first time wasn't what needed to be said, because in the second one, he gave me analogies to help me better understand what had taken place. I said, so maybe that was meant to be, but it was frustrating though.
Yeah. Well, yours is
It
more of
was
a
painful because I had to
technology
relive
issue.
it again.
Yeah, I was like, well, okay, so there's yours was really more of a technology issue, but that's one of the keys. Besides, if you're gonna work with people, or you know, either I'm gonna work, or you're gonna work with someone else, or someone has decided they have a grief group and we're gonna write something. Besides the patience, you gotta realize that it's like having a scab that's healing. And every time you're writing about the person or the incident, it's like pulling up that scab. Now, Marquise is our resident nurse. So, it's like digging that up again, and it becomes sore again. It becomes painful again. The hurt is bleeding, you hurting, all that all over again. So that's another journey too. That going back down through everything that you really felt again. That's the reason why I can't force you, because sometimes some places you get stuck. You can't come out. It's like, oh, I'm in a place I can't come out of this right now, and I can't pull you out either, and I can't dig you out. I can pray for you that God comfort you. The God of all comfort, the God who knows everything, can do it, because I'm not licensed for that. So I'm here as your publisher. I'm here as your accountability partner, but I'm also here as your prayer partner to pray you on through and to be ready with kind words, and that, to because it's a painful journey. So that's one of the main reasons why I really wanted to have this conversation, because there may be people who are wanting to write about their loved ones or write about their personal story, and it wasn't happy every day, and it wasn't a great thing, and it didn't turn out wonderful, and it was sad, and it was maybe abusive, and it may be horrible parts. But know that if we keep our eye on, it can help somebody else. And don't worry about it. It didn't come out right, and I don't have it in the right order. We can fix that. But knowing that it can help somebody else who's going through that process or going through that journey, or God is calling you to help somebody else. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I hope it does. So, how was your writing processing? Like, did you write 1 hour and then put it away a day and then pick it back up a week or so? How did you all actually write it out? Because me, I'm writing out what I may be doing just straight. I'm almost obsessed with it and can't let the thing go. But when you're dealing with something that's painful, you might not be able to just go straight down to it. Marquise?
I feel like for me, I started off writing like some of my titles. Like that was how I started with like what I wanted the titles to be for like my devotionals. And then I kind of started like plug and play basically. But I only could do one at most, like a day. And I mean, it had to be like very early in the morning between like the 5-6 o'clock hour. Like it was just like that was my time. And I couldn't do no more.
Yeah.
And even
right.
sometimes I couldn't even finish a whole one. Like I would have the title and then it would be like that was a tough part of the story. So it was like, it may take me a day or two to get through this, but I did really strive to do like one a day. But there were a couple that were pretty tough that maybe took me a couple days before I really could get through it.
Right, right. So you have to understand, and it's like I tell people all the time, even when doing writing coaching, and it doesn't even have to be about grief or the loss of a loved one. I can't tell you now. Marquise and I, we early morning people. Karen is too. We early birds. We could be up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Now she can stay up late. Karen can stay up late, 1 or 2 o'clock. I'm not that late, girl. If I am, something extreme is going on. But I'm the 3 to 6 a.m. girl. I can really turn it out and turn it out. And don't get me in a different time zone. Woo! I may be really up early based on where I am. So, but you can't have anyone can't dictate that because somebody else may be a late night. Somebody else may be writing at noon during lunch hour, or somebody after the dishes is in the dishwasher can write for an hour, and because they don't have little ones like Marquise does. Ooh, exciting. But that time. So Cassandra or Karen, either one, you're writing time.
I'm the overnight writer. So I'll start writing 10 o'clock at night and the sun is coming up and I'm looking out like, oh my goodness, it's 6 o'clock already. So that's me. And Julia, you're right, because Julia go to bed. So when I see you up and I'll be like, what are you doing up? But I'm the overnight one.
She'll send me a text. What are you doing up? I said, nightmare, got insomnia, just got on up and just start working. I couldn't get there.
I think for me, my best thinking is the calm is when I like when the world is shut down and I don't get no text messages. There's no emails popping in. It's quiet. And sometimes I will write, and like I'm writing now, just like a thought for today book, where it's like it's a devotional, but it's not where you pick up and read one thing, but with some of my thoughts and poems and some of my son's thoughts and poems as well. But the way I write, I think Breathing, of course, that kind of went straight storyline because it was my life. But how I write now, I'm all over the place. I got notes in a notepad on my phone. I roll over. If I wake up at 2 a.m, I'm grabbing it, putting notes, and then I'm trying to piece it together because that's how my mind has been the last 5 years. And I think I'm getting better now as far as plugging the calendar stuff here, trying to have one notebook there. But I just say, do what works for you. Do what brings comfort to you when you're writing. Don't try to do it like Karen, because my husband, before he went upstairs a few minutes ago, he said, okay, when you guys finish, don't stay down here all night. Because he knows I'll say, well, since I'm on the computer, let me go ahead, because that's where I'm most comfortable. And I don't like always doing stuff when family's running around where I get emotional and I'm crying about it. Because I don't want them to feel bad all the time because I'm good. I just have to cry when I got to cry. So I like that me time.
Right.
Me time.
Cassandra?
Well, as for me, it was just whenever I would think about her and a thought would come to mind and I would jot something down. And then most of the time it would be at work. And when I got home, I would just go back to the little piece of paper that I jotted whatever thought I had, and I would just go from there. So it was like a constant thing because she was on my mind every day, and I was just replaying everything every day. So I just was constantly writing. So that's how I think it's how I got done so fast. It's because I was just constantly thinking about her, and every thought I had, I was like, I see God in that, and I would write it down.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that happened. I remember when that happened. I see God in that, and I wrote it down. So, and then I would get home, and then I would just be up, just I would be up late, just typing, writing, and everything, and yeah, and it was done before I know it. So,
Well, that's the writing process for a lot of people, because some people are like, "Oh, I gotta have this, and I gotta in this setting and all that." Maybe you do, and I gotta light a candle, and I gotta, and I'm cool with that, all that. But sometimes it doesn't come like that. Sometimes I'm not able to set a mode and set the scene and all of that, and then I'm looking and it's not flowing. Sometimes it is turn on a voice recorder and speak it into my phone. Sometimes it is on the back of a bill, and I'm looking at it going, "Oh my gosh, where's a piece of paper?" And I turn over the back of a bill and put something on it. I was like, "Okay, I've got to pay the bill, but I need the envelope that so I can finish my thought or finish that outline that I had." Now that's primarily what you're doing when Marquise talked about. I got a title for a devotional, but I don't have the rest of it. That's kind of an outline, because hers is a 31 devotionals. So it's, you get, it's like, oh, okay, that's a great idea. I'll write that down. So if you're in the middle of a writing process, a writing journey, it can be any of the four ways. I've done it all. I've journaled. I've written on the back of towel paper, on bills. I've sat down at the computer and just wrote the whole chapter at one time, or it happened over several days. I got several things. So there's no really right or wrong way. I just want you to understand that it's at a very emotional process, and it is a journey. It is not a sprint. And anybody you're working with, anybody, even if it's not me, if it's Karen, if it's somebody else that you want to reach out to and make a connection to, know that you got to be patient with yourself. And like Karen said, you can't rush the process. And I can't rush the process to make you get it to this deadline. It doesn't work like that when you're writing while grieving. And that's what we're talking about, writing while grieving, because I know a lot of times during the holidays or anytime, it could be Mother's Day, it could be Father's Day, it could be their birthday, and you start going back through pictures, and you start going back through their journals if you have them, or you start going back their accomplishments, and you want to honor them in some type of way, or you want to give voice to your loved one. Be patient with yourself. It's a journey. You go slow, one step at a time, one day at a time, to be able to get it done. Now I want speak to this, because I think this is from the business side. This is the publisher side. Did you ever feel like you were losing them again when you handed the manuscript over?
I didn't. I didn't. Actually, I felt like um, I had her right there with me because I was sharing her story, and I didn't feel like I was losing her. I felt like I was giving her life
Mm.
through my book, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it definitely.
And
That's what I wanted to do, but sometimes I feel like the author is standing over there, and I'm, if you just let me have it. Well, and when it could be several months. I think I just need to look at it one more time, and I'm thinking, is that? I mean, y'all tell me if I'm wrong. They don't want to let them go. They still want to hold on to the book and go back through it again, because it keeps them alive. But no, in my mind, if you turn it loose, they turn into a whole nother life. But y'all correct me if I'm wrong.
I think when you said that, Julia, one thing that came to mind, I feel like it's more, not feel like you're losing them, but I feel like, especially like for me, obviously I have been semi-transparent, like sharing Alana's story and like some of the details pretty much like since she passed away. But I feel like I hadn't shared some of the real intimate pieces of it. So I think for me, obviously I was like kind of like chaos. I felt like, whew, like I finally did this. Like I know it would make her so proud. But in the same token, I was like, I'm sharing like some really personal,
Yeah, the
intimate
vulnerability of it.
details, like about, you know, the story and with the devotional and really intertwining my faith and things like that into it. So I feel like for me, it was definitely the vulnerability piece. And maybe that's why some people are hesitant or they struggle to pass it on. Because, you know, when you're writing, you're sharing, depending on the topic, you know, some pretty deep and intimate details. So it is hard to share that and pass that on to someone.
Okay, that'll help me some. That'll help me more. Karen?
I think for me, because I didn't do just one single book, I have a folder on my computer that says going through different things, and it's so hard for me to open that and complete some things. But with the breathing part, because of that last chapter I had to write, I think it was having to say the DEAD word, having to say why, you know, which is why I say he went on his last hike. It's so hard to say
Yeah.
those specific words.
Yeah.
You know, it's you know, when people say, "Oh, I didn't know," and you say, "Yeah, he went on his last hike," or he did this or he did that, where people don't understand when you say that word, is it hurts.
Yeah.
So it's not even just the writing process is after, and even now with my children's book, like I was just at a school reading the book, the kids are awesome, but it's always the question, well, where's little Eddie now? And
Yeah.
he does, and my husband said, he commended me the first time I went out and he said, oh, you answered that so perfectly. And all I could think was, I need to get out of this school.
Yeah.
But in the same token, it's helping because I see the bright smile and, you know, and everybody's all happy with the shirts and all that. But I think for me, sending it was like, what am I forgetting that I want to say? Because in your mind, it's like, I don't know why we think this, like you can never go adjust it or do anything. But in your mind, it's like,
well, you can never do book 2. Hello.
Right. But I think
Yeah.
it's when you're writing about somebody with the hurt, it's different when you write about your life and everybody's alive and you just sharing what school you went to and all that. But when you're writing about something so painful,
Yeah,
you worry that you're going to miss something so important and do them a disservice. So I think for me, where I will pull back and say, well, how do I want to say it? And I'm to the point in my life now, I think, because my mind never stops and I always want to write something else. I'm to the point, you have to get to the point that you focus on your why. Why are you writing the book? And don't worry about who's going to talk about you, who's going to say, well, that ain't how it happened. It's your story. Tell your story how you want to tell it, especially when it comes to a loved one you lost, whether it's your mother, father, sister, child, whatever. It's your story. And I think for me with the first book, and I just said this the other day, because it's we're gonna say it's domestic violence awareness month, because we got one more day, and
right.
also breast cancer awareness. So
Yeah.
we're gonna highlight those. But in talking about those, we don't understand somebody's grief or their why. And we need to stop judging people as to why they do something. With me, my first book should have been out 10 years ago, but I was so worried about what this family member going to say, what that person going to say. And I think we released it, Julia, but before we released it, we're supposed to be happy about the celebration, Julia, booking flights and we're going to be together. And then I lost a child. So that was so hard to celebrate and not. So for me, everything is bittersweet. And I'm to the point in my life, you only live once. I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm going to do what my child and children will want me to do. I'm going to keep the strength I had when I had to raise them and, you know, do things by myself. I'm not going to forget that. So I think while we're doing it and while we're hurting, you're going to cry. Somebody don't want to be around you crying all the time. Tell them don't come around you. But get to the point where you find that inner strength for yourself. And that is what our loved ones who are no longer here want us to do.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is that you know, our testimonies are for not only just for ourselves, but they're for other people. And so that's one of the main reasons why, I mean, I really wasn't striving to really inflict pain on anyone, but I really wanted other people to understand that, one, you're not alone. You're not the only one. You're not the only one who just wants to stay in the bed and put the covers over your head. But you're also not the only one who's had to overcome the grief to be able to get the paper down. And it might have taken months. It might have taken weeks. It might have taken more than a year. And the current clients I have, it's taken a while because and it's been more than a year or so. And so, or you didn't, Cassandra, she lost her whole book and then boom, recreated a whole new one. So, I mean, it just all depends on
And
who and the
Julia,
what and the why.
Julia, let me say this. When I was trying to get the last of the notes together for breathing, I remember, I don't know if I was crying or what, you get delirious. So I don't know if I was crying or laughing. And I remember saying to Gary, I don't know why Julia's so busy. Why can't I just send her the notes and she figure it out?
Oh, yeah, right.
Why can't she just put it together? No, and you know why I said that? Because with One Breath at a Time, you did that. I sent you stuff and you chaptered it off. She made it all cute. And I was like, why can't she just do it for this?
Well, but I still had to have a story, boo. I had a story with One Breath at a Time. It just needed to be sectioned off. But I had words on the page.
Right.
I thought I could do that, but words in your head.
I was like, no. And I remember saying, Julia's so lucky she don't live around the corner from me. Ryan probably would have kicked me out.
Baby, I'm quite a bit. As my granddaddy said, I'm a fur piece from you, love. But it's difficult. It's really, really, really hard. And but this is my last question. I'm gonna let y'all go because I know y'all have more to do than talk with me because y'all helping me honestly in the writing, coaching, and publishing journey as well. So because the three of you all have organizations that either you run or that you're connected to that helps um turn that, well, I'll just say the title of our book, Telling Our Stories from Pain to Purpose, that helps do that. How did that help? Okay, we got the book, we got the Telling Our Stories, and then we got the Telling Our Stories too. I mean, does that help a lot having that emphasis? I don't play golf, but I'll help pass out some bottled waters, Marquise, one year because I gotta come up there and see the Alana Marie golf thing, and you just ride the street for me so I can get up there. I just have to put it on my calendar.
Hey, we're always in need of volunteers. I will not turn you down on that.
But does that help with the process? Having a purpose and having a purpose for the pain, or having an outlet for it, as it were.
I think it definitely to me shows like the continuation of the healing and grief process. I feel like I remember not thinking it was going to be hard to write, my section in part 1 and part 2. But I remember it tore me up. Like, I mean, I just was going through a lot of changes and I was like, I didn't expect it to be that hard. But it's like in our mind, it's like when you really are like, in your heart, it was for a purpose, but it's like to try to display that to other people so they understand and really connect with their heart as well while they're in that really grief process, especially depending on where they are. I think that was the hard part for me. But I think just showing that continuation of like you're always on a continual grief journey, and like Karen kind of highlighted, it's your journey, it's your story. So, don't let anyone put a time frame on you or pressure you or make you feel some type of way about it, but really just owning it, that it's mine and I can do this the way I want to do it, and having that kind of attitude with it.
Right. And being able to pour into somebody else, and be that person who says, you're not alone. There's somebody else that has endured it and is still enduring it. I mean, it's not over. It's still one of those things that can hit you at any given time in a different way. Either one, Cassandra or Karen, either one.
I'll go. For me, it being a part of the Kentucky Organ Donors Affiliates, because Yolanda was an organ donor, it has helped me a whole lot because they allow me to have a platform to share my story. And not only that, I'm a part of a group of other parents, grandparents, siblings, friends. It's called the Family Donors Coalition, where we come together and we meet every quarter and we have events and we do things and we just share how we're coming along. And, we cry, we laugh, we eat, we have crafts, and all of that helps a lot, just to know that you're not by yourself. So I would tell anybody to get with some kind of support system, and just even being a part of you all has blessed me tremendously. I watch Karen and her husband all the time. They may not know I'm watching, but I'm watching. I watch you, and I just feel like God placed me in the midst of so many people to help me along my journey that they may not realize they're helping me. But, each day, just watching the strength of others, gives me strength to try to help somebody else. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It really does. It takes a village to raise a child, but it also takes a village to get through grief too as well. I mean, it definitely does. Karen?
For me, we need to do a part 3, a book 3. Because with my nonprofit, you guys probably have seen the letter or whatever. As of this year, December 31st, I'm going to pause with it because I realize I haven't grieved, in this. I don't know why I'm so emotional tonight, but just trying to get through day to day. And for me, with the background I have with the mental health and domestic violence and suicide, my breaking point was like 3 months ago. In a 3 or 4 month period, I had to deal with 3 suicide calls. And I kept trying to explain, okay, that's not the ES3 mission, and I try to do referrals, but they're like, no, talk to Karen. So I literally was drowning with domestic violence, sexual assault, all that stuff, which I don't mind helping, but it was like tugging to where I said, you know what, I have to fall back, and it's okay to pause a business. It's okay. But in pausing the business, and I don't even remember what the question was, but but in pausing the business, I've learned that I can take care of myself and smile and appear happy sometimes, and I can relearn who Karen is, because we already lose our identity when we get married, have kids and all that stuff, but I can relearn and pull some strength, like Cass said, from all of you guys. But I'm still doing things, but I'm doing a lot more in the literary world now, where people want a local book club. I'm speaking at the literary council next month and sharing Little Eddie all through the schools. We got an actual sock day and everything. So I'm doing more that way. So I want to start doing more of the fun activities opposed to answering all the hotline calls, which have been sucking the life out of me.
Yeah.
So
it's the amount of them, and
yes.
it's the type of them.
Mm-hmm.
And
And I want people to know, you can start doing something, you can write something, but that doesn't mean your journey stops there.
Yeah.
It's like the Bible's the living word. Let your story be your living word, part 2, next to the Bible, where you may have to change the chat. Just because that one book finished, like you said, Julia, write the next one.
Yeah.
That ...
Yeah.
And so I'm in the journey of my life right now. ... And for the first time, after I release so much pressure, I feel happy about what tomorrow may bring.
Yeah.
For the first time, I say, God, it's you. It's, I'm no longer going to say why. I'm going to say, come on, what we got next?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a good place to be in. But everybody has to know what that place looks like. Everybody has to understand. I turned 60 this year. And I'm like, ooh, my no game is getting on lock. I mean, like, nope, can't be there. Nope, can't do that. Nope, don't feel like that. Nope,
exactly.
That's not my mission. Nope,
exactly.
That's not my. And so everybody has to know, ooh, that's 60. Yeah, I don't know what happened at 60. I'm on Marquise has a warning. Okay, you got a little time. You got a lot of time, but
she got 60, a lot of time.
You got a lot of time, but 60, baby, honey. That's a whole nother ball of wax and whole another situation. My question was really having an outlet. But even if you put ES3 on pause, Karen, that outlet to education, back to little ones, starting as a child and all that, that's still an outlet. That's still a connection. That's a nonprofit to nonprofit.
Well,
Even if
we're always going to collect socks. And
yeah,
right
I
now,
mean, that's
right now,
still
I
you're
just
still
made a
in
whole batch of
motion.
pies.
It's just
So
right. You're still in motion, but you're
yeah.
still it's a different outlet, and it just looks different. But it's still to me, it's still the same mission. It's not like you said, "All right, I'm gonna open up a hot dog stand." Although you could grill some hot dogs, and the kids would love it. But
I'll
I'm
eat hot
just
dogs.
saying, and I'm like, I want popcorn. I know. See, I know that's why I said that. I want to. But no, it's still in the same vein, baby.
Yeah.
Your heart, your purpose is still gonna move. God's not gonna let that happen. He's okay with pausing. He wouldn't had to rest sometimes. Sometimes all them people healing all them millions of people and thousands of people. Woo, I gotta go away. Mary and Martha, get my bed ready. Get my get my bed ready because I'm coming over to Bethany because I need to chill out because these people's getting on my nerves. If they did it to Jesus,
Yes.
they're gonna do it.
Yes.
I mean, you know what I mean? If Jesus had to go take a rest and he was all human and all divine, come on, love. Yeah, the human part of you still has to take care of yourself. And sometimes you may be just journaling like I did from 1994 when I was divorced to 2007 till when I was remarried. Then it was time. So it may not be time. The timing may not be right. But getting that out, healing yourself, like soothing oil and and salve and whew, and a warm bath and oil and everything soothes your whole outside body. You have to take that same oil and that same God and that same word and that same music and that same quiet time and that same journal and that pen that you are in the bathtub with or outside with a mug of tea because Karen does all them kind of imagery, them graphics. She got her rain going and a mug of tea and all that. You have to find what actually works for you.
Find your peace.
Find your peace. But at the end of the day, when you're ready to release, be patient with yourself. Be
Can
calm.
I just kind of say something?
Sure,
Oh,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Can I just kind of say something on that? Because that's where I am right now with the second book. It's like I have all my chapters and I've been writing like, a little bit on each chapter, but I had to stop and pause and tell myself, stop trying to rush and get it finished just because you feel like it needs to be done. Because I've still been able to share what I'm writing in my book with people and they understand, whether it be someone on the phone, I'm calling about a bill and we get to talking and they tell me they lost a loved one and I'm able to share a part of my book that's not even out yet. I'm still sharing my book, but I'm just like trying to like get it done. It needs to be out there. But then at the same time, I can't push to get it finished. If that I'm trying to get it done, but I just can't.
Well, the timing will be right when it's right to do it.
When it's right.
But the ministry of it is still going on. Whether the when and how the book gets out and in printed form is still down on your heart. It's still inside of you. It's still moving. And I know, I know how you are. You and as that old song, you gonna be a witness for the Lord. So I mean, it is what it is, and I say go for it. Go for it.
And I might have another up and coming author for you. My grandson wants to write a book about his summer adventure. He caught a turtle, and the turtle traveled to Louisville with us. So he wants to share it. I want to read
that
my adventure with. Yes.
Is that Blast? That's my boy.
He gave
That's
the
my
turtle.
dude
He
right
gave the turtle a name and everything. And I was like, can we let the turtle go back to its family? Yeah, he gave the turtle a name and everything. And it traveled to Kentucky for 3 weeks. And it made it back to Georgia. And when we put it down to let it back in the pond, that turtle flew in the water.
I love Blast. He is really helping you.
Yes, Lord.
He's exciting, and honey, them three are Marquises. We not even gonna go down there.
They're so cute.
They're adorable, honey. Them boys in Cincinnati, them Watson boys in Cincinnati.
Those Watson boys.
I just can't believe how fast they grew up. The baby was a baby for a second.
I know.
Just a second. That's it.
Hey, cute in they little outfits, honey. Spider-Man ain't got nothing on them boys. I tell you what. Baby, I love it. I love it. But that's a part of it too. We have grief, but we still have laughter. We
Mhm.
still have joy in the midst of
Mm,
pain. That's the beauty of God. That's the
Yeah.
beauty of faith. That's the beauty of being able, especially with children, for all of you, having outlets is really key and really, really important. And now on the business side of it, those books are a part of your brand, your
Yeah.
personal brand, even if you don't have a business with that name on it. So it's really says about what you've endured, what you've gone through, what you've overcome, how far you come, how far you haven't come, how much further you have to go, and the rawness of it, the pain of it is so real. And that's the reason why you ladies will be not only selling books, but blessing people for many, many years to come. Those of you who are listening, I trust that that helps you and gets you going. There are so many people that have been on. Hey, Fatima, how are you? We still got to finish her other book, but we're going to get this one done. Pastor Gary, so glad you're with us. LaShonda, you have many writings on envelopes. Honey, I do too. I do. All kinds of pieces of paper everywhere. LaShonda Hoffman's in St. Louis. Miss Elise Vinny, so
Miss
glad
Elise.
you're joining us.
Mhm.
And then Mr. Larry Davis Sr., good evening to you too as well. So glad you all were able to join us this evening where we're talking about writing while grieving. And these ladies have truly been champions of it. They have been through the storm and rain and pain and all of that, but uh, they've overcome. Yeah, we got plenty of ways to go, and nobody's perfect every single solitary day, and some days are going to get us down more than other, but their testimony is incredible. So be sure and find them, follow them on social media, connect with them online, and make sure that you purchase their books and bless somebody else, especially this holiday season. There are plenty of people, and I did this now because there are plenty of people who are going through who've recently lost loved ones or who lost loved ones maybe 3 years ago, especially during COVID, the height of COVID in 2020. So, whether it's a child, whether it's a parent, whether it's a grandparent, we all have lost many that we know of. But we know that God has got us. God is going to prepare us. He is going to keep us. And we can still be alive, clothed and in our right minds, but filled with purpose in His timing.
His
We
time.
can't rush it, but it's purpose in
Yes.
God's timing. I love you all. And
Amen.
you all be blessed this evening. I love my sisters. I'm so glad you all jumped on with me tonight. I appreciate you taking the time out, and we will continue to move forward. When thus saith the Lord, when book 3 or whatever next happens, and I love you all. You all have a
Love
great
you.
bye bye.
love you too.
Love you.
Bye
Have a good
bye.
one.
Love you.